Now at 9, how a Pittsburgh bar is getting ready for St. Patrick's Day Friday night. Plus, some McDonald County elementary students get their hands dirty planting thousands of seedlings. And
former President Trump launches a campaign to discredit his opponents as he ramps up his efforts to become the Republican presidential nominee. I'm Mallory Rivera in Washington with that story coming up.
The 4 states' most watched news starts now.
Thank you all for joining us tonight. I'm Jalen Banks. Law officers are investigating the discovery of human remains in southeast Kansas. The Kansas Bureau of Investigation says hunters found human skeletal remains south of Coffeyville in rural Wilson County yesterday evening. The remains in a pasture near Decatur Road. The Sheriff's Department, the KBI, and the crime scene response team are working on the case. Investigators don't yet know who the person is. An autopsy is scheduled. And now it's weather. Chief Meteorologist Doug Cady joins us.
Well, it definitely turned out to be a much colder day for us today. Temperatures, they didn't get into the 60s like we have seen really all week long. Temperatures today only 47. Average high is 60 degrees. We started at 27 degrees, and it's going to get even colder as we head into the weekend. Tomorrow, we're not even going to get out of the 30s for afternoon highs. All right, we've had a few little clouds kind of skirting through. We had a few little snow showers to our north, but in general, we look fine. It's still kind of windy though, so this makes it feel a little bit colder than what it actually is. These are going to continue to back down a little bit more for us as we go through the overnight hours. Into the morning hours, look at this. We dropped to 24 degrees. We do start the day with sunshine. It's just going to be a very chilly one as we go into the weekend. We also have more thunderstorms in the forecast, actually 2 chances for us next week. So we're going to break that all down for you here in just a bit.
All right, see you then. Sports bars are preparing for double madness for March Madness. KOAM's Carrie Worthen talks with one local sports bar about how they're getting ready for one of the busiest days of the year.
McCarthy's Sports Bar in Pittsburgh is just one of many places gearing up for what they hope to be a lucky night. Local sports bars are taking a shot on March Madness and St. Patrick's Day.
It's our busiest day. It's kind of like our Christmas season. St. Patty's Day is. It's a lot to put together, and this year we're doing 2 days. We're going to do a whole weekend, Friday and Saturday both. We have people that show up at the early games, 11 o'clock, and they'll stay till closing time tonight.
McCarthy's owner, Brian Hansen, says it takes 10 days to get ready for tonight.
The preparation of, I've got 300 cases of beer sitting here ready. I've got extra help, extra liquor, extra food. So, it's a large gamble on our part also.
One of McCarthy's bartenders, Forrest Denny, is looking for that gold at the end of the weekend.
This is the biggest night of the whole year for us, and we're going to be doing a 2-day event, so it's going to be the biggest weekend of the whole year. So as a bartender, I'll probably make around 2-3 times what I normally make today.
I've had staff that have worked for me for years while they were in college. They come back and help. It's just kind of a rite of passage. You work here, you come back during St. Patrick's Day, and it's a big family. It comes back every year.
It's become a St. Patrick's Day tradition at McCarthy's, a chance to renew old acquaintances, make new ones, and collect a little green. In Pittsburgh, Carrie Worthen, KOAM News.
Along with the live band, McCarthy's will also have a cornhole competition. Do you know an alumnus of Joplin Schools that deserves to be in the Joplin Schools Hall of Fame? The deadline to nominate them for the class of 2023 is coming up. Nominations are accepted year-round, but the deadline for this year's class is May 1st. Officials say the Hall of Fame honors the achievements of outstanding alumni. You can find the nomination form on the Joplin Schools website. On this St. Patrick's Day, some McDonald County students worked on their green thumbs. Students at Rocky Comfort Elementary planted almost 10,000 seedlings for the greenhouse project. The students set up tables in the cafeteria and filled planting trays with soil before adding the seedlings. They'll maintain them over the next several weeks and then put them up for sale to the public for the school's annual plant sale.
My experience, it was super fun. We got to gather all the plants and plant them, and it's really nice getting to learn the process of it and how the plants grow. It's super fun.
Money raised from the sale goes to help the school with improvement projects. While those students got their hands dirty, other elementary students in McDonald County dressed up. Pineville Elementary hosted Elegant Day for its younger students. Those kids came to school wearing fancy dresses, shirts, and ties, and other elegant clothes. They also had high tea with special snacks. The day is focused on teaching the students manners. The kids each have their own reasons that they enjoy it.
Eating snacks.
When they do go somewhere where it's a little bit elegant or fancy, they're going to know what to do, and they're going to know how to use their good manners and how to escort a lady to her table. That's lessons in life that everybody needs to know.
The tea the students were drinking was green in celebration of St. Patrick's Day. A new report by the House Committee on Oversight and Accountability finds former President Trump and the First Family failed to disclose and account for hundreds of foreign gifts. Those gifts have an estimated value of more than $250,000. It's just the latest in a series of investigations against Trump as he works to secure the Republican nomination for president. Fox News correspondent Madeline Rivera has more from Washington.
The radical left Democrats are using their prosecutors to try and steal another election.
Former President Donald Trump says the multiple ongoing investigations against him are an attempt to derail his latest presidential campaign. In multiple videos posted on his Truth Social platform, Trump alleges his critics are on a witch hunt and vows not to back down.
We won twice, and now we've got to win a third time. They know that we can defeat them.
The president used similar messaging Wednesday in a fundraising email where he said, quote, "I will never surrender." All this coming as Trump attempts to fight back against the mounting legal investigations against him. In one of the cases involving the hush money payments made to adult film star Stormy Daniels, Trump was invited to testify, indicating he could be facing criminal charges.
At the end of the day, Donald Trump needs to be held accountable for his dirty deeds if in fact that's the way that the facts play out.
Trump allies have also ramped up their efforts to keep him as the top Republican in the race. This week, a Trump super PAC filed a complaint with the Florida Commission on Ethics against his primary rival, Florida Governor Ron DeSantis. The complaint accuses DeSantis of running a shadow campaign for the White House, since Florida law doesn't allow him to officially run until he steps down from office. DeSantis' team has dismissed the claims as politically motivated.
DeSantis hasn't announced his intentions to run just yet, but he is expected to make a decision by May when Florida's legislative session ends. In Washington, Madeline Rivera, Fox News.
Coming up, why doctors say that there could be a rise in Alzheimer's population as boomers age. America's baby boomer generation is aging, and with more people over the age of 65, the population of Alzheimer's patients is expected to grow at an alarming rate. The disease carries a heavy emotional and economic burden on the patients and their families. Fox News correspondent Madeline Rivera talked to one caregiver about how she's coping with it all.
I think the emotional toll is something that's been really hard on my family.
Megan Everingam moves through life at full speed, balancing work with hanging out with friends and family. But in 2016, she received news that brought time to a standstill.
So my mom has Alzheimer's. She's young, 74, but she is in the advanced stages.
Her mother was diagnosed at 67 years old. Since then, she, her father, and her sister have become the primary caregivers.
The care providing sometimes takes on a life of its own, and you don't even realize what you're doing because you're doing it because you love your parents.
Everengam's mom is one of more than 6 million people in the U.S. struggling with Alzheimer's, the most common cause of dementia. The Alzheimer's Association has alarming statistics, predicting that number could double by 2050.
People are living longer, and that's a major issue.
Besides the emotional impact, Alzheimer's and other dementias also carry a heavy financial toll, with healthcare costs expected to rise to nearly $1 trillion in less than 3 decades. And a shortage of healthcare workers makes treatment even more challenging.
We really need to get additional workforce trained and ready for all the people that will require care.
Everengam says caring for her mother can be stressful, but it's time she and her family are more than willing to give.
we would care for her the way she's cared for us for so long.
While there is no cure for Alzheimer's, there are some medications for treatment. The Alzheimer's Association is also urging Congress to press Medicare for early access to a new class of drugs that could slow the disease. In Washington, Mallory Rivera, Fox News.
Sanofi is cutting the price of insulin by 78%. The French drug company seemingly responding to moves by other drug companies to cut prices amid criticism of insulin prices. Lantus will now be capped at $35 out of the pocket for patients. It is the most widely used insulin in the U.S. Insulin is used to treat diabetes. An estimated 37 million Americans suffer from the disease. A new poll suggests the number of older Americans experiencing loneliness is dwindling. The poll by the University of Michigan researchers shows about 1/3 of Americans 50 to 80 years old say they still experience loneliness or isolation. Often, or sometimes, that figure is down from 50% of older Americans who reported those feelings in June of 2020. Doug is back with a complete look at the forecast and later, why real estate experts are saying that within the next week, selling your house could be favorable.
Well, of course, it turned out to be a much colder day for us today. We only made it up into the 40s for afternoon highs after we've seen 60s over the past several days. The parking lot, indigo sky starting to fill up. It's Friday night, St. Patrick's Day. Hope you've had a great one. Also, these guys have been returning. The wonderful allergies, and they're only going to get worse as we go through the spring. So on a scale of 1 to 10, today's a 7. Tomorrow's a 7, so these are actually going to stay fairly high as we go into the weekend. So if you are an allergy sufferer, I apologize, but those guys are going to start to go up. All right, 38 in Nevada, 41 in Grove, 40 in Parsons. Temperatures are going to continue to drop as we go through the overnight hours for us tonight, eventually into the 20s. At least the winds are starting to calm down a little bit. It's been so windy over the past couple days. Our future wind gusts, they're going to pick up a little bit again for us tomorrow. Still northwesterly winds gusting at about 20, but not near as strong as what we have seen over the past couple days. All right, our new drought tracker is out. It keeps getting better, which is great. Look at this. All of southwestern Missouri is fine. Still on the Kansas side, especially our western counties, a pretty severe drought, but at least we are looking better as a whole compared to what we have seen really over the past year. Had a few clouds kind of skirting through, even a few light little snow showers, mainly northern parts of Missouri behind the big storm system that rolled through yesterday. And if you look out toward the west, not a whole bunch going on. That means our weather is pretty calm as we go through the next few days. Let's go through time. We're going to stop tomorrow morning. Look at this, mid-20s. So a cold start. We're going to have mostly sunny skies. We'll have a few more clouds in our northern counties. By noon, only into lower 30s. During the afternoon, we only get into the mid to upper 30s for highs. So it's going to be pretty cold, especially for the second half of March. And then check this out. Tomorrow night, we'll go down into the mid to upper teens, so a hard freeze across the region. As we go into Sunday afternoon, a little bit better. We get back into the 40s, but this is not a great weekend to do any outdoor activities. It's going to be pretty chilly. It's good we can stay in and watch some March Madness basketball Saturday and Sunday. And then we go back down again once we head into Monday morning. Here's your day planner tomorrow. Finally get into the 30s by the noon hour. Make it up into the upper 30s. We're going to have plenty of sunshine across the region, just again on the cold side. We do start to warm things back up a bit. As we go into next week, we are going to have some showers on Tuesday. So this is our next system. It's not a big system. It pushes on by. Stronger system moves out by Thursday. This is going to drag in a cold front. We're going to get, look at the temps, into the 70s, but showers and thunderstorms. Now, some of those storms could be strong, possibly severe. So we're going to have to keep our eyes on this as we get into next Thursday and Friday. 38, that's it for us tomorrow. 18 tomorrow night, 42 on Sunday, 53 on Monday. And then as we go through next week, we do start to warm up. 72 Wednesday, 73 on Thursday, with those thunderstorm chances back in Thursday into Friday morning.
All right, thank you, Doug. Coming up, more trouble in the banking industry.
A major player in the banking industry files for Chapter 11 bankruptcy protection ahead of a major announcement by the Fed. I'm Caroline Shively in Washington. I'll have that story coming up.
The Biden administration is trying to tamp down fears of a widespread banking crisis following the failure of 2 U.S. banks. The next major decision, which may rattle the markets, comes next week when the Federal Reserve will likely announce another interest rate hike. Fox News correspondent Caroline Shively reports from Washington.
President Biden headed to Capitol Hill for a St. Patrick's Day event on Friday as he called on Congress to go after executives whose mismanagement led to failing banks by imposing civil penalties, clawing back compensation, and banning them from ever working in the industry again. Congressional Democrats are also calling for action.
We must do everything we can to protect our banking system and to prevent a cascade of bank failures.
It's unlikely Republicans in Congress would agree to strenuous new regulations, but they do want answers.
And we need to make sure every part of our banking system is solid. Our community banks are much more solid than what everybody's talking about.
Also on Friday, SVB Financial Group announced it had filed for bankruptcy protection. SVB is the parent company of Silicon Valley Bank, which was seized by the federal government as it collapsed, taking the government and industry by surprise.
How come they missed the red flags? This bank had grown over 60% in 3 years in a row. There was this enormous ballooning.
Silicon Valley is one of 4 lending institutions to face calamity over the last week here in the U.S. and in Europe.
Countries are going to have problems, so it's going to be a rough patch ahead.
All of this makes it less likely the Federal Reserve will hike interest rates, but we won't know until the Fed meets next week. In Washington, Caroline Shively, Fox News.
Are you looking for the right time to sell your home? Economists at Realtor.com say if you can hold out to April 16th through April 22nd, market conditions will be the most favorable for sellers. Realtor.com says that week has the best combination of high prices and fewer homes to compete against than any other week. Ford is recalling more than 1.2 million vehicles due to potentially faulty brakes. The recall includes Fusion and Lincoln MKZ models from the years 2013 through 2017, plus a few from 2018. The National Highway Traffic Safety Administration says their brake hoses can leak fluid, making it harder to stop the vehicles. Up next, a home inspector in North Carolina got more than what he had bargained for when checking out one of the homeowner's attics. A home inspector in North Carolina had a wild encounter in a home's attic. Dean Brown is a code enforcement official for New Hanover County. And while he was doing an inspection at a 3-story new construction home, he saw a large alligator just hanging out of the air conditioner. Brown then called animal control, who captured the gator. They still don't know how the alligator got inside the home. Man, my goodness. 30 more minutes, news, weather, and sports coming your way. The Spiva Center for the Arts celebrates its annual National Photography Competition and exhibit. Plus, how the Aurora Marionville, Missouri Police Department will be using a new grant to crack on drunk driving. The Spiva Center for the Arts opened their annual Photo Spiva exhibit and competition to the public earlier today. The competition featured the photography work of artists from all around the world. Both members and non-members were invited to enjoy the photography. Photo Spiva winners were presented cash awards for their work. Winners were selected by art juror and photographer Jennifer Thorenson, who concluded the night with a lecture.
So to have the opportunity to put something on the wall, to have this many people come, stand in front of it, enjoy it, think about it, poke at it, whatever, it's an honor. It feels really good.
The Spiva Center's next event will be a flower exhibit called Spiva in Bloom. The exhibit opens on March 23rd. Area dance teams gathered in Pittsburgh today for a regional competition. The Talent on Parade event features 26 teams from Kansas, Missouri, and Oklahoma. While there will be an overall winner announced, there are also top awards for entertainer and photogenic awards.
It's all about teamwork. I like to think of my studio as a family.
So it's always about how the family works as a unit, making sure everyone's being seen or heard and working together. I try to make sure all my dancers feel the love and that they can also put the love that they feel for dance out on the floor.
I really like when we do like the small groups dances, because you get to do a whole bunch of lifting and all of that.
The competition will run through Sunday. Joplin Greenhouse and Coffee Shop is hosting a back-to-back cardboard cafe event. It's a chance for people to enjoy some company while having a game night. The cafe has more than 300 games, food, and drinks. Every entry into the event includes a ticket into a raffle for a free board game.
They say the communication's up to 80% nonverbal. And so you see all those nuances between, when your buddy makes a terrible move and you're about to take advantage of it or something. So I think that's part of it, and it really is like a place for community and board games, and it's cool to just meet so many different people.
The shop will be hosting another cardboard cafe event tomorrow from 5:30 to 9:30. The Aurora Marionville, Missouri Police Department is using new grant money to have more officers watching for people who are under the influence. Reporter Michael Hoffman has more on how that funding is allocated.
They come in on their day off or their night off to earn extra income and go enforce nothing but DWI law.
Chief Wes Coatney says grants like these are helpful in catching people driving under the influence of alcohol and drugs.
It's a reimbursement grant. So when we use overtime to have an officer go out and work these enforcement grants, that grant reimburses the city or the agency for the overtime spent doing those enforcement activities.
The grant work kicked off this morning when police arrested a man they say was on both marijuana and meth when they stopped him. It was the second methamphetamine-related arrest in Aurora Marionville in the last 24 hours. Chief Coatney says meth in southwest Missouri is commonly found in these types of stops.
In Aurora Marionville, we see a lot of methamphetamine, but it's really geography based. I mean, you may go to other cities, bigger cities in Missouri, and see an increase in things like heroin or things like cocaine or so methamphetamine just happens to be popular in southwest Missouri.
Nancy Brown lives in Aurora and says it's a fantastic idea.
I've been sober for 20 years. I see the damage that it does to people, to families, to neighborhoods, same things with drugs. So it's there's a lot of people that don't know where to go to for help.
Brown says driving under the influence can change someone's life forever.
No, if you're lucky, if you're out there driving under the influence of alcohol and drugs, if you're lucky, you'll only kill yourself. But a lot of times that doesn't happen. A lot of times it takes innocent people.
A bit later, a social media app promoting educational content.
TikTok is creating a new feed with math and science content for its users to learn something new. But not everyone is sold. I'm Mallory Rivera in Washington with more on those plans coming up.
Well, of course, it turned out to be a much colder day for us today. We only made it up into the 40s for afternoon highs after we've seen 60s over the past several days. The parking lot indigo sky starting to fill up. It's Friday night, St. Patrick's Day. Hope you've had a great one. Also, these guys have been returning. They're wonderful allergies, and they're only going to get worse as we go through the spring. So on a scale of 1 to 10, today's a 7, tomorrow's a 7. So these are actually going to stay fairly high as we go into the weekend. So if you are an allergy sufferer, I apologize, but those guys are going to start to go up. All right, 38 in Nevada, 41 in Grove, 40 in Parsons. Temperatures are going to continue to drop as we go through the overnight hours for us tonight, eventually into the 20s. At least the winds are starting to calm down a little bit. It's been so windy over the past couple days. Our future wind gusts, they're going to pick up a little bit again for us tomorrow. Still northwesterly winds gusting at about 20, but not near as strong as what we have seen over the past couple days. All right, our new drought tracker is out. It keeps getting better, which is great. Look at this. All of southwestern Missouri is fine. Still on the Kansas side, especially our western counties, a pretty severe drought, but at least we are looking better as a whole. compared to what we have seen really over the past year. Had a few clouds kind of skirting through, even a few light little snow showers, mainly northern parts of Missouri behind the big storm system that rolled through yesterday. And if you look out toward the west, not a whole bunch going on. That means our weather is pretty calm as we go through the next few days. Let's go through time. We're going to stop tomorrow morning. Look at this, mid-20s. So a cold start. We're going to have mostly sunny skies. We'll have a few more clouds in our northern counties. By noon, only into lower 30s. During the afternoon, we only get into the mid to upper 30s for highs. So it's going to be pretty cold, especially for the second half of March. And then check this out. Tomorrow night, we'll go down into the mid to upper teens, so a hard freeze across the region. As we go into Sunday afternoon, a little bit better. We get back into the 40s, but this is not a great weekend to do any outdoor activities. It's going to be pretty chilly. It's good we can stay in and watch some March Madness basketball Saturday and Sunday. And then we go back down again once we head into Monday morning. Here's your day planner tomorrow. Finally get into the 30s by the noon hour. Make it up into the upper 30s. We're going to have plenty of sunshine across the region, just again on the cold side. We do start to warm things back up a bit. As we go into next week, we are going to have some showers on Tuesday. So this is our next system. It's not a big system. It pushes on by. Stronger system moves out by Thursday. This is going to drag in a cold front. We're going to get, look at the temps, into the 70s, but showers and thunderstorms. Now, some of those storms could be strong, possibly severe. So we're going to have to keep our eyes on this as we get into next Thursday and Friday. 38, that's it for us tomorrow. 18 tomorrow night, 42 on Sunday, 53 on Monday. And then as we go through next week, we do start to warm up. 72 Wednesday, 73 on Thursday, with those thunderstorm chances back in Thursday into Friday morning.
Definitely looking forward to that warm-up. Coming up in sports, the Carl Junction girls aim to move on to the 5A state championship. Plus another dominant performance for Pitt State pitcher Zach Shoemaker. Jacob Leonard has those highlights and more next.
Well, tonight is a big night for the Carl Junction High School girls basketball team. CJ faces the Notre Dame Bulldogs out of Cape Girardeau this evening in the Class 5 state semifinals in Springfield. The winner of this one moves on to play for the state title tomorrow night. That was a defensive battle, but CJ wins it 37-33. Kylie Scott scores 14, while Desi Williams adds 11. Carl Junction now moves on to play tomorrow night the Class 5 state championship.
It mean a lot for us to be able to get another our only state title in Carl Junction history. I think Destiny hit the nail on the head there with our kids in 2020. We felt like we had a good shot that year, and to get the season taken away by COVID and a lot of things that had happened that year, it hurts, it stings. So to get back here feels good, and it's a long season. And our kids fight through a lot of sickness and become pretty tough. So I'm really proud of them tonight.
Well, Pittsburgh State baseball opens a 3-game series at home this afternoon against the Northeastern State Riverhawks. The Gorillas enter the day at 7-3 in the MIAA, sitting in 4th place in the conference. Pitt State trying for their 7th win in the last 8 games. We'll pick it up first inning. Carson Coffey, liner into center. Austin Warkins scores. Nixon Brandon right behind him. Gorillas get 3 in the first. Now to the 4th inning. Brandon up to bat, goes opposite field, right into the corner. Hops over the fence. Brett Daly scores on the ground rule double. Pittsburgh State scores the first 9 runs of the game. Now on the mound for the Gorillas, another big-time outing for Zach Shoemaker. He goes 6 shutout innings, racks up 12 strikeouts. Gorillas go on to win it 11-7, and Shoemaker now 6-0 on the mound to begin the season.
You know exactly what you're going to get out of Shu every day. You know, Zach goes out there and competes and gives us an opportunity to win a baseball game every time we hand him the baseball. Just wish you had 3 of them.
My fastball was working really well early. I was able to place, pretty much the whole game, put it where I wanted, and then Nixon did a great job mixing in the proper breaking balls whenever we need it. That was on.
We don't ever want to take him out, but he's trying to keep his pitch count right so he can be healthy in the end. And I think that's his 7th start. One was only for an inning because of weather, but every time he walks out there, he gives us an opportunity to win a baseball game.
In Topeka, a huge series this weekend between Missouri Southern and Washburn. Ichabods are in first place in the MIAA. Southern right behind them in second. Game 1 tonight, Missouri Southern wins it 4-1. Nate Miskowski goes 3 for 4 with a double and an RBI. Cole Woods throws 7 innings, allowing just 1 run with 6 strikeouts. Well, today is the opening day of the season for both the Webb City Cardinals and Joplin Eagles. Webb City's up first, kicking off their schedule at home against the Bishop McGuinness Fighting Irish. The Cards aiming for a big year after a district title and an appearance in the state quarterfinals last season. First things first, though, today's game, bottom of the 5th. Bishop McGuinness up 4-0 until William Hayes goes opposite field. Sam Weller scores. It's a 4-1 game. Later in the inning, Cy Darnell comes up with runners on. Miscommunication out there in the outfield or something allows Gabe Chapman to score. Webb City cuts the lead in half. It's 4-2, but that's all they got tonight. The Cardinals fall in their opener today, 4-2. Right after that, the Joplin Eagles face Bishop McGuinness and Webb City for their first game of the year. Bishop McGuinness was up 2-0 over the Eagles. Well, the Irish ran out of luck in the 4th. Leighton Kofer goes opposite field into the gap. That gets Justin McReynolds to score easily. Kofer gets the RBI triple out of it. Joplin on the board. It's a 2-1 game. Later in the same inning, Landon Maples puts this one in play. Infield single allows Kofer to score. Now we got a ball game. It's tied up at 2. Now still in the 4th, Byler Reether hits a sharp line drive in the left. Eagles now have their first lead of the day. It's 3-2 Joplin, but Bishop McGuinness got that lead back late. And they would hold on to it. Joplin falls just short in their opener, 4-3. The Pittsburg State Gorillas are one of the hottest softball teams in the MIAA right now. The Gorillas have won 13 of their last 15 games after sweeping a doubleheader from Lincoln on Monday. Pitt State back home today with a pair of non-conference games against Winona State. Game 1, first inning, Paxton Hayes goes opposite field, all the way to the wall out there. Heather Arnett scores from second to make it 1-0 Gorillas. RBI double for Hayes. Couple batters later, Gabby Schultz pokes it out to right center. That bounces all the way to the wall. Hayes comes in, Schultz all the way to third for the triple. It's 2-0 Pitt State after 1. Now to the 4th, same score, Kiana Pellegrino. Back up the middle, Schultz comes in from third. Gorillas go up 3-0. And that was plenty today. Pitt State pitcher Hannah Harrison, great the whole way through. She allows just 1 hit in 7 innings with 5 strikeouts. Gorillas take game 1 over the Warriors 3-0. So in game 2, Gorillas try for the doubleheader sweep today, but the Warriors come back and take that one 4-1. Gabby Schultz goes 2 for 3 in that one with a double and the lone RBI of the game for Pittsburg State. And that's a look at sports. We're back with more news right after this.
TikTok is adding a new feed exclusively for science and math content and will be available later this month. Fox News correspondent Madeline Rivera reports from Washington.
You can find a lot of different content on TikTok. Now the social media giant says it's taking things up a notch with a new feed focused on STEM.
Hi, my name is Kat. I started my career as a NASA electrical engineer.
According to TikTok, the space will be dedicated to videos related to science, technology, engineering, and math to inspire and inform users. But at least one medical expert believes it's just a way to stave off efforts to ban the app.
It's not that it has no value, but now they're trying to fight back against the regulators and creating a separate feed called STEM.
Earlier this month, a bipartisan group of senators introduced a bill that would authorize the Secretary of Commerce to crack down on TikTok and other foreign-based tech companies that could pose security risks from countries like China, Russia, and North Korea. TikTok is owned by Beijing-based company ByteDance.
100 million Americans are on TikTok an average of 90 minutes a day. That data is residing in China, no matter what TikTok says.
Critics say TikTok could be filled with misinformation, potentially harming young users.
Who's to decide what's right and what's wrong? Because science is about debate. Science is about challenging presumption. TikTok is loaded with dogma, and you can choose the dogma you want.
But TikTok is pushing back, adding that the content on its STEM feed will be assessed by Common Sense Networks and Pointer to make sure it's appropriate and that the information is reliable. The U.S. is reportedly demanding TikTok's Chinese owners sell their stakes in the company or face a ban of the app. But TikTok says a new ownership won't change data access or flows. In Washington, Madeline Rivera, Fox News.
Waze is making it easier for electric vehicle owners to find a place to charge. While Waze has showed charging stations locations since 2020, Google, which owns the navigational tool, says it will now show Waze user stations specific to their vehicles. The update will be rolled out on the app in the coming weeks, and local map editors will be needed to make the changes in real time. Coming up, how a Wisconsin custodian is being honored for his hard work for the past 6 decades. A heartwarming story out of Wisconsin. A beloved custodian working at the same school for nearly 6 decades is now a finalist in the Census Custodian of the Year contest. Andra Banstra reports.
I've never expected anything like this here.
In his 58th year at Park Elementary School in Cross Plains, Rodney Esser was named a finalist for the National Custodian of the Year Award.
I keep getting messages on my phone that people are already voting, and I didn't know what it was for.
In one way or another, he's been tending this land his whole life. He used to farm the land the school sits on today, but when the school district bought the land in 1965...
And they said, well, we bought the land, and you go with the land. So that's how that came about. I didn't apply for the job, I just went with the land. So once a farmer, always a farmer. That's me.
He is beloved by staff, students, and everyone. He shows up at 5 a.m. to shovel and stays after school in programs he's helped create.
And I try to incorporate kids with that, with special needs and things like that. And I have one of them that actually runs a Zamboni, and he's only a 3rd grader.
For decades, he's held a financial literacy class for students. He mends minds into well-rounded people, setting up kids with summer jobs, teaching kids how to plant trees, and even holding an annual school-wide music camp.
Gives me a good feeling that I'm giving back to the kids with that. And I like to find a need and see if I can do something about it to make their life better.
And that's our time for tonight, and happy St. Patrick's Day to all of you. But before you go, we'll leave you with the video of the New York City St. Patrick's Day Parade. Be safe, and we'll do this all again tomorrow. See you then.